Hey guys, this is episode 17 of the GrindWorks Podcast. This is the first episode that we're recording not in my apartment on, the proper, as I'm going to call it, setup with two cameras, the microphone, proper lighting and everything. This episode was recorded with a H1 Zoom mic and a couple lapel mics. So it's the first one we've done like this. It's inspired by the setup that Chris was actually using in the last episode. He brought it along. It's what he's recording his Poliver podcast with. You should check those out. But we haven't been able to take this podcast on the road, so to speak. So I was spending a few days up in New York, visiting family, doing some other stuff, and was able to squeeze a couple podcasts in because I purchased this mic setup. So, without further ado, this is the interview with Cameron Turan. He's a part of GrindWorks. He's the other owner of GrindWorks. Puts on a lot of the back end work for the Binghamton Jam. You'll see him around up there riding and everything. And if you're around up there and you're not riding with Cam, you should probably hit him up, and you'll probably get free stickers, and you guys can smash pegs off things together. Or if you're pegless, you're also welcome to hang out and do cool things. So this one's a little bit interesting, kind of long. Obviously, there's no visual aspect aside from the intro, outro, as these are recorded here in the apartment. I don't know. I'm excited to see where we go with more of these audio ones beyond episodes 17 and probably 18. But anyway, that was long-winded for saying without further ado before. So enjoy. Okay, we are sitting here in Cameron's garage.
What's up?
I feel lost not being like in the what I would call proper studio space, where we're like, formally set with the cameras and the lights and everything, and like I guess I'm just comfortable and used to it.
Right.
And having this portable recorder is a little bit weird to me, but
So I'm in my comfort zone and you're out of your comfort zone.
yeah, but I mean, we all know that even though I pretend I don't like to talk, I can just go and go and go, so.
Oh yeah, I know. And I'm not the same. Yeah.
So, we will end up recording an interview, not an interview, but like an intro and an outro for this when I have the comfort of my home studio, and that I've been doing it to avoid the like, comment, subscribe, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
I hate the YouTube personality idea.
Oh man.
Because I'm not a YouTube personality. We're just dudes doing dude stuff with bikes involved.
Yeah.
But, yeah. I'm also not used to being able to see how long I've been recording.
You don't have that at your home setup?
So, the home setup, I've got my computer on my left, and it wraps around. So I'm actually facing away from my computer while we're recording the interview.
Huh.
And it makes it a little bit annoying in the sense that like 20 minutes in every time I'm like, oh God, are we actually recording?
Right.
Did I not hit start on this?
Has that happened yet?
No, it hasn't.
Would have if I was doing it, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the same setup I use for like streaming and stuff, so I'm kind of used to it. And I at least let it count to 5 before I even turn over and like, oh hey.
Right.
So it's not like I don't know that it's recording, but you still second guess it every time.
Right.
I think you know all about that because we're gonna just dive right into the little intricacies. But thinking back to the BC Bikes days, how many times did you drive back to the shop to check that the door was locked?
All the time, yeah. I would ride home and then turn right back around and ride a couple miles back just to check and see if I locked the door. Maybe once a week. Yeah.
Once a week for how many years did you work there?
Oh God.
Had to have been like 7?
Yeah, it was 7 something, yeah. Yep.
It's 7 years, once a week, you'd ride like 3 or 4 miles. No, it was just down the rail trail. It's only a hair over 2.
Right. Yeah.
But
there, right.
4 miles round trip just to check that the door that you already locked and pulled on it for 5 minutes before you left.
Yeah. Yep. But better be safe than sorry.
Yeah, and then you'd have ridden all the way back, and I'd be like, "Did you lock that door, Cam?"
It was the days that I did it 2 times in the same day that we had to worry about. No, I'm just kidding. I didn't go back. Go home, go back again, and then say, "Shit, did I lock it?" And then go back again.
Yeah, no, because you remember the trip riding back.
Right. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. No, but I figure that's like a good segue into real discussion there, because we were talking about it with me recording. So
right.
Anyone that is real familiar with GrindWorks already knows who Cam is. He's the guy who yells at you about your plastic pegs and scooters at the skate park and at all the jams and
yeah,
it's making fun of you.
Right.
But what you don't know is that neither of us really care, and it's kind of just all fun. Kind of.
Yep, definitely. Pretty much, I mean, do we like plastic pegs that much? Nope. Do we like scooters that much? Nope. But do we care? Not really.
Do we like the people that ride them? No.
Yeah. Right. No, some of them, it doesn't matter. It's just an inside. It's a real big inside joke, and whether that took off with other people too that related or had whatever their own, I'm referring to the fuck scooter sticker. Basically, what this delved right over into was the fuck scooter sticker, which was awesome sticker, and it was a controversial sticker for what? Scooter kids and parents? I don't know.
Well, our original joke was that it should say little kids, but you can't make that sticker.
Right.
You could, and you might sell a whole bunch of them, but it's not to the demographic you want.
Right.
So, it just turned into scooters. But, yeah, it was funny when we were, like, brand new out of the gate, and then that sticker got big, and we're like,
right.
Terrible.
Yeah. I mean, geez. I still get, like, I don't know, backlash or clout or whatever you want to call it over it, like, whether I'm at the racetrack. I mean, I still have it on the back of my truck, but on my back window. But anyways, whether I'm at the racetrack and somebody I know is talking about, they have a kid and they're like, oh, they just don't want them to be around GrindWorks or whatever because of the cursing or whatever, or like because we have 2 stickers that have curse words in them.
Oh boy.
But anyways.
Yeah, but you can't appeal to everyone, and if you try to, you'll appeal to no one.
Right. And what the fuck? I mean, excuse me, but what have? That's not about what we're trying to do to appeal to everyone. You know what I'm saying?
No, we're trying to do what we like,
right.
And then it is what it is from there. The funny thing is, this area got super butthurt, and by this area, I'm talking about like the Binghamton, New York scene.
Right.
Got super butthurt about that sticker, and no one liked it. I mean, a lot of the people liked it, but it was pretty cutting.
Right.
As far as like people were either into it or they thought you were a douchebag.
Right.
And then down in Pittsburgh, the most people that had that were scooter kids. They all wanted it because they thought it was so funny to have that sticker on their scooter.
Right.
And I don't know what the deal was, but they were just like, yeah, man, of course it's kind of lame and it's corny, but it's fun.
Right.
And, like, we're all here for fun. And, like, exactly.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they, like, got it. So it was funny to see the difference that there were dudes repping that sticker on scooters.
Right.
In Pittsburgh. And then serious issues over it up here.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I don't know. Doesn't... we didn't need to justify it. You know what I'm saying? We didn't need to justify it.
No, but you know what it actually becomes a problem with is, like, you sit here and especially... So I'm going to backtrack for a second. Where I was going with the initial comment is that a lot of you know Cam through the GrindWorks page, through any of that. Unless you're just tuning in to, like, your first podcast ever, or I guess any of only the podcasts and not checked out social media, anything like that. But Cam is one of the founders of GrindWorks with myself and our buddy Sam, who we thought was going to be here tonight, but
you know
that fell through, and you know, life happens, whatever. So anyway, a lot of you guys know Cam from GrindWorks, different stuff locally. What a lot of you that follow GrindWorks don't know is that Cam is not from the Binghamton area. Right. Cam grew up in Arizona. So right. This is where I'm going with that comment is growing up in Arizona, there's a lot of parks that don't allow bikes. And there's a lot of skateboard
You.
All right. So, brief interruption there.
Forgot that was locked and loaded right now. Oops.
Air compressor just turned on the fly there.
Andy just
both of us were like, what
almost,
the heck?
Yeah.
I just totally wasn't expecting it. Anyway, so there's a lot of skateboarder BMXer beef out that way with parks and, like, not being allowed.
Definitely.
So the other problem that sticker caused is that you're promoting the thing that you hate.
Right.
Which is skateboarders hating on bikes. So how can we as bike riders hate on scooters? Because, like, really, what are we doing? So, like, that kind of came into why that sticker is no longer a thing.
Right.
And, I mean, that's the only thing that was kind of, like, had to be justified about it. Was, like, how can you have the sticker and not be okay with the, like, skateboard BMX issues?
Right.
So, I don't know. I mean, we don't have to justify
I've heard
here,
that issue. Yeah, I've heard that issue. Somebody brought that issue to my attention on social media one time, but I don't even think I replied. I just, because sticker's funny to me. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and again, we had scooter kids repping that sticker. So
yeah, I literally was like, I don't remember who it was, but I was at work, which was the bike shop, and I was talking to somebody making an order or doing something. I don't know if it was getting ready for the jam or one of the jams years ago, but they were somewhere far off that I was like, wow. They're like, we got to talking, and then GrindWorks came up, and they're like, oh man, I have that sticker on my bike or whatever, man. I love that sticker. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, it was
I thought
cool.
It was like a Sunday or Odyssey, wasn't it? I
think
like
it was.
Remember you talking about
I'm
that.
pretty sure it was Odyssey, right? And it was down in Austin anyway, so it was like, and we have buddies down in Austin, so I mean, you know, but it was still cool at that point. That was earlier back on, you know, so it was like, it was cool to hear the dude at Odyssey be like, oh yeah, man, that sticker's badass, you know, like. Some people got it, some people didn't. Some people were scooter kids that got real butthurt about it, and some people didn't care either way, you know?
Yeah. And some people... See, the other problem with it, I guess, and then we can, like, kill the discussion on it, is that some people really were into it.
Yeah.
And, you know, it wasn't that they thought it was funny.
It was like a freaking, like a Nazi group.
Yeah, exactly. And you're like, come on, man, like, You're taking that, it has our name on it, and then you're going to go act belligerent towards people. Like,
right.
Now it's a different game.
Right.
The other thing that was annoying about that sticker, everyone, quote unquote, loved it. No one wanted to pay for it, which is stickers in general.
Yeah.
But the problem was GrindWorks was kind of like an offshoot, the way it was die cut. And people were cutting GrindWorks off, which if you pay for the sticker, I don't care what you do with it. If we give you the sticker for free and you cut our name off of it, like,
right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
So that was pretty lame. Now, I'm not name dropping who was doing that because I watched a couple people do it.
Oh, yeah. I've seen, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. I've done it with other stickers and tweaked the letters around, We've had people make funny sayings out of the fuck scooter sticker and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You've done it, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I know exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. They're our stickers.
Right.
We paid for them.
Yeah, I just gave away thousands of them.
Yeah. And we do that anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, we got stickers we got to order. I was supposed to order them a while ago and didn't do it.
Oh, I know that story.
Yeah, well, I mean, we all know just stuff comes up and
yep.
More pressing things. We actually I think by the time we got the designs all like squared away, or even 99% there, we had missed our ordering window to hit the jam we were trying to get them for.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So I was trying to get them for something at the wheel mill. Maybe Winter Welcome.
That's what it was.
Because we co-sponsored that one jam.
Yep.
Yeah, and we missed the window to order them, so then it slipped.
Right.
And I guess we got to come back around to it because we haven't announced the dates yet. I haven't made the flyers, but we have at least 2 jams coming up this year.
Yeah. Yep. Coming up real soon. Like, real soon.
Maybe someone can hijack one of them this year and call it their own.
Yeah. Right? Oh, boy.
So there were supposed to be 3 last year, and 3 happened, but we were not affiliated with the third one. And it is what it is. We're not going to blow that out of proportion here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because we could.
Right.
So.
It is what it is. Oh, always things going on like that and the ins and outs of this,
Yeah. Well, and we're theoretically we're nobodies, so
definitely.
What's it matter to step on us and push us out of the way?
Right.
And I don't think the people that were supposed to be involved originally are the ones that did it.
That's what it was. We do know that much, So
that's also why, we won't even continue down that road.
Yeah.
So
what we did do just a session / jam type thing up there in Utica, which was sweet out here on my side. Yeah.
I wasn't able to make that out, so I forgot about that. So shout out to Mitch for hooking that up with Cam and letting everyone use his spot.
Yeah. That was that is a good setup he's got going out there, yeah.
Does he still have it? I haven't really seen anything from it in a minute, so.
I haven't either. I don't know. You'll have to let us know.
Mitch, if you happen to be listening, we haven't bored you already with our like random banter before we get into real chat here. Let us know if you still have your little indoor spot.
Little fuck, man.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, you should
private
see that
indoor
place.
spot.
Yeah.
Or I don't know what the details were with that, but yeah.
It's Dunlop Tire Factory. That is huge, and then there was, but that's private spot. So anyways, we can let whatever wants to be disclosed about that.
Yeah, not our deal to blow it. I mean, no one's getting in anyway without him, so.
Right.
But yeah, shout out to Mitch because that's a sweet spot you've got going, and hopefully, hopefully you're open to having us all back.
Definitely.
Even though I wasn't able to make it.
Yeah.
All right, so Arizona.
A lot different, yeah. A lot different.
What do you miss about it? Because I know you got a lot of riding history from back there, and you weren't even really riding BMX when you moved up here.
Mm-mm.
So, like, what was your not necessarily origin story, because most likely it's the same as everyone else's, as like started jumping off curbs, got into other stuff. Unless it's different than that, and then go into it. But
it's pretty much that, you know. I mean, really young, you know. My dad was into that kind of stuff, you know. Like your dad was into that kind of stuff, you know. Also, so just always had bikes from a young age taken care of with that, and it really probably started though, like big time. I used to be probably like 6th grade, you know, and like I had skated a lot, so for a long time I skated, and I can skate or whatever for the most part, you know. But it really started when I probably got like my first mid-school bike now, but to back then it was like a not, you know, because I started riding on like thrift store mongooses, like Californians or like old school mongooses, you know, and like Diamondbacks and whatever we found at yard sales and thrift stores and stuff like that, you know. But the neighbor across the street had a Haro Zippo, which was a sweet bike for me anyways back then, you know. 4 pegs and gyro and front brakes and everything, you know, bright yellow.
The full kit.
Yeah, bright yellow, chrome plated pegs. God, I think, yeah, I'd end up with 4-piece bars, whether it came with it or not, you know, like Mira bars, but knee savers, right? But
yeah.
Anyways, that is when it started to be, you know. But I always, like you said, when you said earlier, skate parks back then especially was just skate parks, you know, rollerblades and skateboards. And those guys would just give you a hard time, whether it was themselves giving you a hard time, chasing you out of there, the group of them, or just getting whatever park rangers or police were involved in, you know, the area, you know. So it was just, and I remember skate parks just being a big pain, you know. So I rode street, you know, a lot. That's what I did, and I lived probably, let's see, 4 or 5 miles away from one of the most famous spots I think of in Arizona, you know, which is Sossaman Canals, which is where that big canal hip is at, and the like fly out with the sub rail type thing or whatever that everybody goes, you know, just every single major West Coast video part has a clip there pretty much from the
big bank to walls.
Right, all the bank to walls and everything like that, and big giant sub boxes and stuff like that of these big concrete structures that are in these canal systems that are all dried up, you know. And, so me and my neighborhood buddies, you know, we would just venture off to Sossaman as much as possible. Or there was also crazy trails, you know, like this one place was called Sanguini. Some people, I don't know if anybody from Arizona that used to ride listens to this, Sanguini trails. Those were, I can't even, in our area, I can't think of anything to compare them to, because like if you think of Endwell, if you've ever been to Endwell in our area, the jumps were like easily 2 to 3, you know, 2 times that, you know. And I was younger, so there's always that, you know, looking back and like
yeah, you scale them way up in your head.
But they were giant, you know, like.
Well, all right, but to compare the two, you're in Arizona, so you've got dry, rock hard running jumps versus like the river clay, and it's all super soft. Even when it's packed, it's still soft and runs kind of slow.
Right.
You know, except for like the best summer days. Right. Then you'll be running pretty slow there.
Right. Safety meeting, 2 seconds.
Yeah. I figured you were just gonna go for it, but.
Sorry.
Yeah, he's feeling a little bit unsafe during this discussion here.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a big deal when you're talking about like of course they'll probably be bigger because you're looking at the speed with which you can run them too.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. It is dry out there. That's no joke. But skate parks, yeah. Eventually, and like now, they're all open. You know what I'm saying? They're all open to bikes out there, I think. But
I mean, there was a pretty big movement by like that. Was it? It was like Redondo BMX or Red Endo or something like that. Yeah. Pushed pretty hard, but from like the East Coast perspective, we saw their website. I don't know if it was like one dude trying to take credit for a lot of the movement that was happening, or if they were really pushing and behind it. So I mean, I don't really know. I can't put 2 cents in on that.
You know what park I miss? Oh my gosh. From Mesa, where we lived, me and my buddies, friends anyways, we used to drive to Metro Center, which was a big mall, and it was probably an hour away. So back then, when we just barely got our license or whatever, that was kind of like a distance, maybe a little bit more than an hour. But anyways, it was a Vans park inside the mall, and that was like, we would be driving there, and that was a park that you paid, and it was a Vans park, so didn't bikes were allowed, so that was always an awesome park with a real vert ramp and really legitimate bowl and big huge street section, but that closed down like so many skate parks,
Just indoor parks, man. I don't know. I mean, how is an indoor park viable in a climate like that? And it's not like a rhetorical question. It's serious because it's like indoor parks in the Northeast are dead when it's nice out.
Right.
And the only reason they stay open is booming winter months. So I mean, I know that you've got, like, in the dead of the summer during the day, you pretty much can't be outside because it's 130 degrees and
right,
you'll die.
Yep.
But, I mean, I can't imagine being inside a warehouse building would be better than that.
Well, no, that was inside a mall, you know what I'm saying? So it was better.
Is it air conditioned and everything?
Yeah, like, imagine like a JCPenney's or a Macy's that's just gutted, and it's a big 2-story skate park, or like, well, you had to go up stories to get to like the bowl level or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, and that's where like, because there's a lot of riders from out there too, you know what I'm saying? So, and growing up, I really didn't. I rode street, and I was interested in what me and my buddies were doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like, sure, we watched videos and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like I was just focused on what we were doing. And I had friends that, like today, but back then, were just crazy talented. You know what I'm saying? And still are. But like, so that's what
Yeah, I mean, what was your... I know you had, like, one buddy, I think the name was Johnny or something, that's still out there killing it.
Yeah, like, we grew up, I remember when he was on his, like, a Redline XXX or something like that, probably when I had the Zippo, so, like, that's... And he Johnny Harnish, yeah, he builds a bunch of trails up there. There's a bunch of, like, mountain bike parks and like cool stuff up there since I've been there, and he does like indoor skate parks that he built. He's a ramp builder basically, and does furniture that is in the style of ramps and stuff like that, kind of cool stuff.
That's awesome.
But he's actually an Iowa guy too, you know what I'm saying? So that team Iowa or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Back in the day he was buddies with them and stuff like that.
Cool.
Right? But I haven't seen him or rode, you know what I'm saying, with him in like,
years.
15 years probably. Yeah, right. But who was it? Like, I would remember being at like Vans and Casey Badger would be there, you know, like ripping it up, you know, and like I worked at a shop back then, you know, like because I started working at my first bike shop in 2003 now, you know, so riding back then. And there was a guy, Elliot Hart. He doesn't ride anymore, but he was one of the neighborhood superheroes pretty much, you know, like just naturally talented, you know. But yeah, and then I moved out here, and
you liar, you're fast forwarding. You're in San Diego for a while.
San Diego, yeah, my bike got stolen in San Diego, right? Yeah, and I was kind of skating in San Diego.
Now, how long were you actually in San Diego? Because like I know you've talked about both, and my impression is that San Diego is actually a relatively short stint.
It was, yeah, it was. I moved to San Diego probably from like 15 to 17, you know, like really short stint, yeah. And then moved back to Arizona, and at that point, I think I started working back at the bike shop again, and I was riding and everything like that. That was more up until the point to where I quit riding approximately 2006, 2007 range, you know, for quite a while.
Yeah.
Till where I was getting at, just, you know, where I was getting at when I moved out here, and, you know, very shortly after moving out here, the first job that I got was, of course, at a bike shop, so.
You stole one of the locals' bikes.
No, I don't know. Oh my God, that is another story. Yeah, holy cow, Adam. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you know, the guy came into the bike shop one day, and I knew of who this guy was. I recognized his vehicle and kind of knew of who he was through someone that I knew. But anyways, he had a bike, and it was a FBM Capone, built FBM Capone. And he tried to sell it at the shop, and the boss there didn't want to buy it. And so I asked, and I'm like, well, can I just buy it, you know? And I didn't have a bike, and I bought it. And sure enough, stolen, you know. But turns out that it was basically through the grapevine somebody that we all knew pretty much, you know. And he got it back, you know. A little altercation there. I didn't want to give it up. Because I paid the guy for it, and I gave, you know, I said, well, you know, this is who I bought it from, and that kid ended up being at the party. They're like, oh, the group of guys that came to my house to take care of it and get the bike back were like, oh man, he was at the party the night that bike came up missing, you know what I'm saying? And he's a shady freaking guy, you know, so that makes total sense, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But we settled it, and he got his bike back, and then years later ended up...
Yeah.
Hopefully being cool. I'm cool with him. I see him out and about and stuff. He's one of the local shredders around here that doesn't ever really ride, but so that's why he's underrated, because he's never seen or rides really.
Well, way back in the day, he and some other dudes had their own crew out in Newark Valley Evolution, and they had like a full-length DVD they put out and a bunch of stuff. So like there was a little bit of coverage, and they had a good scene out there. And then, you know, people just get older. You know how it goes. Everyone just drifts off, and
right.
You know, there's a couple of those dudes that are still out riding. Adam, Andy. Andy was gone for a while, and he's back in it now. See him riding around Binghamton every now and then when I'm in town.
Right.
But usually rides the other way, and you're like, oh, okay, well, it was good chatting, but I don't know. I think he just kind of likes to cruise on his own now, and it is what it is. I can relate to that.
Right.
So when I met you, you were on a 26-inch dirt jumper.
Yeah.
And you worked at the bike shop that, like, I mean, lots of people shop there, but no one in the area knows why they shop there.
Not only that, like, how many of your friends have been through the ringer at that place? Pretty much.
Most
friends,
of them.
People you know. I mean, basically friends, pretty much. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and then there's a problem with that because every single time you're like, man, forget that place. Like, I hate this place.
Yeah.
Then a new friend is working there, and it's like,
right.
All right, man, I'll come by and like support your business again.
Right.
But it sucked because, like, sure, every shop manager he's ever had turns out to be, like, a pretty cool dude, and every employee has, for one reason or another, actually ridden BMX.
Right.
Yet the shop won't support BMX. And...
yeah. You know, I mean, we've had this discussion so many times. You know what I'm saying? Throughout the years, I've vented to you and we've discussed it, you know what I'm saying, and we've gone over it, and it's just a lost cause, you know. So many bike shops close and go out of business, and that is essentially what that place has done so many years ago. You know, I wasn't even around when that place was still a legitimate business, pretty much, unfortunately, you know, back when it had any kind of profit or anything like that.
When they had 2 locations that were managed and ran separately, but interchanged, you know, stock and whatnot.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, it's just disappointing. But the bottom line was, like, every time someone cool started working there, and you're like, you want to support them and keep them employed there, but at the same time, you're like, I don't want my money going to this guy that's running the shop.
Right. Yeah.
So it was always like a tough spot to be in.
This area, you know, I mean, when I was done with that, when that whole place came to an end, you know, that whole situation, you know, I ended up really heavily considering, and basically between this old man that actually had a bike shop, Buck's Bikes, in Binghamton, on a property they lived at for 100 years. I got all of his tooling, you know, and his park tool stands, and I outfitted myself to pretty much go at it myself, you know, and open up some location, or start from my own garage location, even, you know, which I was doing for a while. I was bringing in some, you know.
Well, I mean, you had a loyal customer base via your social media following. So,
right.
Like, it, you know, it's kind of like if you have a mechanic for your car you've gone to forever, and he moves from shop A to shop B, like, are you cool with some random person at shop A still working on your car, or are you just going to take it to the guy you know and trust at shop B now?
Right. Well, yeah. So I definitely had loyal people follow me, but where I was getting at, so I got the tooling from him. I got all kinds of stuff from him, and then HCS goes, you know, and so then I got all of that stuff, you know, I basically liquidated all of HCS's inventory from bikes, and was just gonna do my own thing, and. That
was all consigned to you, right? At that point,
right.
So,
yeah. So I mean, I took possession of that, and then we had an agreement written out and wrote out, you know, to really fair agreement, super easy, you know, super easy, fair. Derek was like the most easiest, flexible person to work with in that regard, you know.
Yeah.
But it's the area, you know. I mentioned it in the beginning of this whole part of the conversation that we're at right now, you know, it's that this area is not conductive of that business, you know. I mean, so I decided to go to a regular 9-to-5, you know what I'm saying, which coincidentally was still in bikes, you know, and that same following still followed me, you know what I'm saying. So
yeah. So you are working on all your same customer stuff?
Yeah, yeah, they followed me right to where I'm at, which is a big box store which sells bikes, you know.
So you're a sellout.
Yeah, it's a local big box store.
You're not, though, because you have a family and stuff. You have to take care of, like, yourself and your family, you know. At 15, you can sit there and call yourself a sellout if you wanted to, but
right.
in your 30s, like, are you, or are you making ends meet? Because
I feel like the excuse again is this area, I mean, we have a few other bike shops. We have Babcock's, which has 2 guys, the owner and one other guy, and they've got it covered. That's what you need for a bike shop around here. And they get a seasonal college kid or something like that a couple of times a year maybe, or whatever, and a bookkeeper, that'll work. But then we have a newer one, the Bike Rack, and I know both of those guys over there, and especially the guy that's...
Where's that at?
That's the hockey shop.
Okay.
Which is over there by BCC on Front Street, right?
Oh, I forgot they moved out of Endicott.
Yeah.
Like a long time ago, actually.
Yep. They're across from that college over there. But anyways, they've got it covered. I know them, There's another bike shop with Aero Cyclery. This is like, I don't know how that place keeps going, and it's just the same woman that's been running it for 100 years that handles it, flooded multiple times and stuff like that, and I hear crazy funny stories about that place, like whatever, getting handlebars there and draining the water out from the flood still or whatever, but there people find stuff there too, finds of like new old stock of stuff, because it's an old place that lady has.
Yeah.
Long story short, all the bike shops are covered in this area, and I do have kids and a family, and I do got to do it.
Yeah, and your little garage shop wasn't going to pull that in.
Right.
Especially based off of the inventory that you...
Oh, it
were allowed to keep, and then what a lot of people don't know is if your garage is attached to your house, most companies won't sell to you.
Yep.
You have to have a detached... road front garage for it to be considered a separate business.
Right. So there was that, which my house, my garage was attached, but even though I was on a main street pretty much, with that and whatnot, but no, I had serious meetings with Derek, our friend Derek Nelson, and his dad, who's a big time developer and everything like that, about these storage containers that they're doing these projects in, and how we were going to turn one of those into a bike shop where it could be mobile and put into, leased on different people's property or whatever, and put and used. And Derek's dad Bruce was gonna fund portion of that and everything like that, but I just didn't take that risk, I mean, I needed to put food on the table already,
Yeah.
And this area, I go back to the same statement of this area, it's the same thing with this area that is my go-to excuse kind of for riding, which sucks, you know what I'm saying? Like, it might not be the right mind frame or whatever, but you're gone now, you know what I'm saying? This area is just, I'm burning out on the street, I still go look for new stuff, like where's there going to be a pole jam, or where's there going to be like a barrier that they set up somewhere or something like that, like what am I going to find that's fresh, or
who are you going to ride with? Because there are dudes out there fairly regularly, like the 2 dudes that come to mind are Logan and Devontae.
Right.
For, pretty regularly getting out there and actually riding bikes.
Right.
So you've got like a small group of dudes.
Live like within a mile of either direction of my house, you know what I'm saying? So I do have those guys, but and there's other guys, trust me. I'm there's a Binghamton group chat and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's a scene here. Yeah. It's just it's always been a little bit disconnected, and I'm not entirely sure why.
Right.
But I do know that you kind of have to just make stuff happen on your own, and like it's obviously I see it with having my own child. It's not like easy to just go out and ride every night and like organize stuff and make it happen.
No.
But like that was I would say that you're kind of right in saying that I moved away, but I was just one of the people that was like constantly, maybe annoyingly so, over your shoulder about like, let's go ride. Why aren't we riding? Let's go ride. Let's go here. Let's go there. Hey, I'm doing this weekend. You coming along or not? And then it's like,
there's got to be something else to it. You know what I'm saying? Because look at Pittsburgh. You know, I mean, look at all the homies, the mutual homies that we have in Pittsburgh. I could go to Pittsburgh too, and we could go to whatever park, you know, and at least there's a big kind of a session going on, you know, with like.
I've been told by a couple of people that it's the same thing as what we're talking about here, though. It's like, since I went there, I've promoted a lot of people riding, and I don't really want to take that credit. So I think it's weird to be like, oh yeah, I'm the reason everyone's
I don't know. I didn't
out riding,
I didn't mean to. Yeah.
But well, I mean I've heard it from you up here. Yeah, I've heard other people up here, and I've heard people down there say it. And so it's like, okay, maybe I'm just the annoying dude that was always hitting everyone up to ride no matter what. And like, I know I was for a while with, especially when I was helping Derek out at HCS, and he would be out of town, and I'd be like, all right, well, I'm running the shop today. And I would hit every single person that I talked to in the area up about, and not just like a post. I would hit them up individually and be like, riding HCS today.
Right.
Riding HCS today.
Right.
And then if they all came down, it was like, well, holy crap, how did you have 30 people here?
Right.
When I haven't had 30 people in the last month. I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
But, you know, some of it is just being pushy and annoying.
Right.
And I know that I was pushy and annoying.
Oh, so much of it so much of it for my core group of you and Sam, you know what I'm saying? So much of it for that has changed because I moved to New York and you've never known me without a kid or kids, you know what I'm saying? So we rode for hours and we went on road trips all over the place and everything like that, you know, when I had one or two at home, you know, and made it happen, you know what I'm saying? We made it happen, you know, and you lived here then, you know, and what, I don't know, Sam was around more then, you know, but then you guys finally caught up years later, you know, and had kids.
Yeah, but, you know, it's still like, I'm still out there doing that. Like, I was just out in Kentucky and rode. I mean, Tyler and I went out to Ollie's before they closed because our buddy Brian hit us up and told us before it was ever formally announced, like, hey, you guys need to come out here ASAP because Ollie's is closing.
Right.
We're like, all right, we'll make it happen.
Yeah,
but
no, where I was going with that is that you just know that it's harder now. It's harder with the kids.
Fully
understand. You know what I'm saying?
understand.
Like, it's not as easy, you know? I still had, like I said, one or two at home, and we were going wherever, Massachusetts or all over the place, you know what I'm saying? But it was more of a challenge, you know? And then now you guys can finally are able to say, like, oh, okay, well, you know, my time frames are a little bit more important now, you know what I'm saying? And I do have to gauge my time a little differently and you know, delegate my time differently, basically, you know?
yeah.
Even though you're still sneaking out there and doing that, that's awesome.
Yeah. Well, and it, you know, some of it too, and this is a negative on my side for sure. And I know you didn't have any of your family around, but you at least had in-laws around.
Right.
So it wasn't like it was just up to you and your girlfriend at the time to figure this all out just on your own.
Right.
And leave her with the kids day in, day out, nonstop.
Right.
There was like grandparents' time, and
oh, definitely.
And she could go out and see a friend, and like,
right.
I don't have that.
I know
luxury, which makes it
everyone
way
talks about, hey,
rougher.
Rachel, shout out to Rachel right now when we talk about how we should come back to this side of the woods where we have lots of people to watch the little baby boy, right? I don't know, guys. Yeah.
I mean, that's a whole different discussion. This isn't my interview.
Right.
Even though I talk about myself a lot.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, so I guess this area has a crappy bike shop scene. Not that they're crappy bike shops, But for BMX, the only shop really even trying to support it, I would say, is Ace.
Yeah.
And I'm going to just say mail order only. Even though they have a storefront, they're a mail order shop.
Well, that's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So,
I mean, although we say that, and we're a little bit out of their loop, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying?
I'm out of the loop for sure, though.
I hear recently that, like, the kids can just go over there, and it's not a storefront really, but they can go and get some stuff, at somewhat of regular business hours, really take that with however you want to take that, but
yeah. And then just for like general purposes, discussion wise, because a lot of people listening to this probably have never heard of Ace BMX, but what would it have been? Like late
they claim
80s?
1981 is when they claim that they started that mail order, and it started in magazines.
So it started before Dan's Comp, then I think.
It did, and that claim, right.
And then Dan surpassed them at some point, and I wouldn't know where the real current ranking is, because I would say that there's 3 top ones at the moment, at least in my opinion, and I'm dated, but it was Dan's, Albies, and Empire.
Those are them, yeah.
And right now, Dan's is questionable.
That's right.
Because no one knows what the heck's going on with Dan's.
Right.
And I haven't looked into it, but I know that it got sketchy for a little while, and that stuff was on back order because they couldn't get it because they weren't paying bills.
Right.
And that's hearsay. So if that's not true, then I apologize, Dance Comp, but I'm pretty sure it is.
True or not, we've seen companies come back. Stuff like that.
Yeah. One of my favorite companies came back out of court-ordered repayments and is now killing it again.
Right.
Debatably. I think so, and that's Eastern.
Right. Yeah, I don't care. I got Eastern parts on my bike. I don't care.
I'll shout Eastern out. Everyone talks so bad about them, but I still maintain, and I've talked about that before on the podcast, is they are no worse than like a Cult or Shadow, or not Shadow, like Sabrosa stuff. It's that they're not very good at marketing. And like there's hype built up around like a Cult part, and if it fails, they just bring the hype out and hook you up with a new one. Whereas Eastern, they'll hook you up with a replacement. They've always been awesome about that.
Yeah.
But there's not a lot of hype there, and they also don't have a banger team.
Right.
You get a ton of people backing Cult based on the team. Well, and the person running it.
Cult is got really talented riders,
and the person running it is a marketing genius.
Right. And honestly, not as a derogatory term or whatever, but they're kind of trendy. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So that's going in their favor.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's Eastern is their failure has always been marketing. They're just not a marketable company.
Right.
And
God,
it is what it is. But
I got some old Eastern stickers around here somewhere.
But I don't feel like their product is any more subpar than anything from Cult or anything. They've always been on, when a trend comes in, like heavy bikes or light bikes, they've always been the ones to push the limits the most. Which,
but you know what?
That was actually where the problem probably came in with them being people hating on them so much, because everything broke when they pushed the weight limits low.
Right. And I just know better than to really mess with some of that stuff personally. You know what I'm saying? So why it doesn't affect me as much? Like, hey, I didn't get a Grim Reaper frame to go ride street with. So I'm not dealing with the repercussions of what that could. I don't know. Never mind. I don't know. Yeah.
What was the killer auto? Was that a solid? Or it wasn't. Who made the Killer Auto?
I can't remember.
Because that was another frame that, like, that company, it broke all the time, but they had good marketing and a good rider to back it, and it didn't get the negative rap that Eastern got. Who made that frame? I always want to say Solid, and it wasn't.
Dude, I don't.
It was some. It's a company that when you hear the name, you're gonna be like, huh?
It's not like, oh gosh.
I don't know. Anyway, at this point, it's probably less relevant. But I'm gonna sit here and look it up while
I'm looking
talk in circles.
Yeah. I don't see it, but no, I feel the exact same way. As long as I'm not getting parts from, they've always replaced the parts that I've had an issue with, you know, and as long as I'm not getting something that I don't think
Black
I should
Eye.
Black Eye. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness, I haven't heard that for a while. Yeah.
I knew it was some like random company, but dude, that was a hot frame for a period of what, 2 years?
Yeah.
And people loved or hated the way it looked. It looked like a scooter because it was a straight line from head tube to dropout.
Yeah.
And it was in like probably the peak of the slammed seat days.
I'm trying to find one here. I know. It was
Now that you know what the company is, yeah.
Yep. I think that there was one of those literally at the hanging around at the shop for a long time. Yeah.
But like that frame twisted and broke nonstop because it didn't have enough structure.
Right.
But it didn't get the bad rap that other companies were getting for bad frames because they had decent dudes riding it. Not that Eastern didn't have good people, but it's like they just didn't do good marketing it. And I don't mean to like keep talking about Eastern, and I'm definitely not trying to be negative about them.
No, that's I don't know. I don't want to convey that either.
No, because I'm a huge fan actually, and I know that like gets a lot of raised eyebrows.
Right.
I'm running their pedals right now. I had their tires right up until I got my hands on some more Primo walls.
Right. Dry rotted.
Shout out to the Primo wall, the world's best bike tire ever.
Yeah. Even though you can't get any that aren't dry rotted from the get-go.
No, the black ones are not.
No?
It's the colored ones are just colored tires in general.
Right.
Just kind of suck. But yeah, the Primo wall is the best.
Oh my gosh, you put those tires through their paces, that's for sure. My God.
I should have lapel mic'd that. Just farted.
Yeah.
I hope it came through on the mic.
I hope it did too, because if it smells up this garage that bad, I swear to God.
Just payback for your safety meeting a little bit ago.
Yeah.
That smells terrible too.
Little Caesars.
Yeah, I did eat cheesy bread before we did this, and then hopped right into it without any downtime.
Yeah. So, upcoming jams.
Well, actually, we can talk about that for sure. I want to talk more about like the scene though, because the bike shop thing, like shops have it covered, but here's what I'm trying to get to is like, what do they need to do different? In your opinion, like, what needs to happen to grow BMX in this area from a bike shop perspective? Because there's scene side at Core BMX,
Right.
and there's industry side, which is brands and shops.
Oh my gosh, the complexity of that. Okay, honestly, you just asked me that, and I have some background information, and I know that you're going to do a podcast with somebody else in this area soon here, and I won't drop that or anything like that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
The same question could be asked of that person, pretty much.
I'm going to.
Very, very knowledgeable person in this area. You know, more than me in this area of BMX and this area. You know what I'm saying?
but probably more biased and opinionated against and for certain brands.
Oh, absolutely. That's a no.
Not necessarily because, well, you know what? It is because of quality, but almost overshadowing the ability to sell stuff. So carry on.
Right. I mean, you're running a bike shop here that actually BC Bikes, when I was there, I would try my best to accommodate everybody, and it was not easy. It was not easy with the roadblocks that I had to deal with, which was the owner, and we're not going to keep dwelling on all that situation, But I got in a lot of people, your stuff, a lot of your stuff, if you weren't getting it from another place, HCS down the street or whatever, if it wasn't something that was in stock there or whatever, or if it was a brand that he was getting or whatever, you'd support the both of us, and a lot of people were BMX racing, I had a really good relationship with all the race families and everything like that, but I didn't really have an answer to this question when you first asked it, and I kind of might have just answered it with that last statement, which was BMX race families, In this area, if somebody's going to have a shop that's going to do something, it's going to have to definitely involve BMX racing, okay? We have an indoor track in our area, which is the Northeast only really, one of the Northeast only real, and especially our area for hours and hours around, indoor BMX racing track, So the fact that we have that and there's no real BMX shop around here, forget about park BMX and street BMX and everything like that, you know what I'm saying, that sells helmets and racing jerseys and race bikes and all that stuff, that would be, why wouldn't you want that BMX business as well? You know what I'm saying? And that would be stronger. And this is parents we're talking about.
That's where I was going to go. You're not talking about like one kid that comes in and needs a frame. You're talking about a family that has maybe 2 kids and a dad, that all 3 of them are going to get bikes and they're going to go to the track together, and maybe you'll even get the mom on a bike.
Right.
And so you might have 4 bike sales, and be able to then work with them and develop them, and you partner with the track and say, hey, look, here's a couple of free races over at the local track. Go check this out. They'll give you the tour. They'll give you like a little training thing and
so
let you in.
That's a big part of it, And the other part of it is, because the other person that I mentioned knows the struggle and knows so it's definitely, you're going to need to be resourceful and reach out to as many outlets as you can for income. That means scooters. Stupid, you know what I'm saying? Like scooters. And
well, yeah, because look at I'll name drop him because he's a good legit shop. Plains.
I know.
Plains Bike Shop.
Plains
you know
Scooter
what?
Shop is literally, he's got stickers and shirts and everything that say Plains Scooters. You know what I'm saying? And he's
but his bills are being paid
3 or 4 times the amount of scooter completes inventory. I haven't seen full pictures and everything, so this is just what I comprehend from seeing so many scooters on one rack there, that I'm like, I don't think he has that many bikes as he has scooters. So I could be wrong, but and that's how he got the, and that guy deserves all of that. You know what I'm saying? That guy, as far as I've understood, and I know we know Nick Vosberg, we know people, you know what I'm saying, that know him and everything, and other people that know him through the grapevine.
Yeah.
And he's just supported BMX and bicycling and ran that shop and everything, from what I understand, like an amazing dude, BMX race teams from like 80s until now, like until recent, I don't know about the BMX racing teams recently so much, but scooters took over his deal, right? And pay the bills. I've talked to him about it years ago, right?
Well, and that's where, like, is it even a problem? Because if he can sit there and sell scooters in order to still be able to support the small local BMX scene,
dude,
good for him.
Right. It's the same
it's
thing.
Same with Changa. as a skate park.
It's the same thing with skate parks. It's just what I was getting ready to say. You know what I'm saying? Breaking Free.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look at Breaking Free. He cherishes scooters. You know what I'm saying? Because they are bread and butter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not... That's what I would assume. You know what I'm saying? Again, I'm not like just throwing things out there that are total...
Rafa has a podcast with Matt Smith.
Yeah.
The dude.
Right.
So he interviewed Rafa, and they talked for a while, and it involves some really funny stories up there. So if you haven't listened to his stuff yet, listen to the Different Spokes podcast.
I am like behind on podcasts. Yeah, there's a lot of podcasts to catch up on with all these ones popping off.
Dude, they all like blew up all at the same time, and it's like, I've made the joke a couple of times, but it's like it's the new vlog.
No, I made this joke, and I never said it to you, I don't think, but it's like, podcasts are just vlogs for dudes over 30 or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, basically,
I don't disagree.
That's exactly what it is.
But like it seems like they're all right now, other than like BMX in Our Blood. He's been doing it for a handful of years now.
Right.
And there's a few others that have been like doing it a little bit here and there for years. But yeah, I've been trying to get caught up because I always ignored them, and I'm like, I don't really care.
Right. Well,
since starting to do this one, I'm like, I should probably at least be aware of a lot of these. So.
Right. Well, it's easy to get sidetracked because like we delved off from the whole local what it would take to get BMX going. You know what I'm saying? And so we talked about race bikes, and that it would take. And then we went to scooters just a second ago, maybe some skateboards. There's not really, there's Zoomies in our area. And ever since the guy that took over the skate inventory from HCS, Tom, moved out of this area, I don't think that anybody took over his little pop-up shop that he had out here.
No, I think I might have like seen someone try to do something and it didn't really turn into anything.
So maybe it's just me and like how I hustle even at BC Bikes, you know what I'm saying? It's such a slow bike shop and we got scooters in there, we got every single thing in there, and I did electric bikes and gas bikes and all this stuff, but you'd have to, in this area, you'd have to have so many other sources of income besides street and park BMX,
Well, I think it's not a dumb idea, but I think it's like narrow-minded to think that you'd be able to just focus on one thing.
Right.
At least in the beginning.
Right.
Because
but BMX, your question was, I'm saying what
BMX,
do you need to do to boost the BMX? Basically what's industry
does a shop or a new shop, if you wanted to go that route, but a shop need to do.
Okay, a shop. An existing shop that's out here already.
Either or.
Okay, well, an existing shop that's out here already needs to... this reminds me of the first shop that I started working at, A1 Bikes in Arizona, That shop I grew up going to and, hung out at as a kid and as a rider, and stuff like that, and got all my stuff from, and first 3-piece cranks, and just worshipped that place, And I asked to work there before I even turned 16, and then the day he said, okay, made an agreement with me, and then the day I turned 16, started working there, So, and that was, like I said earlier, I think 2003, and it was a Trek shop, and we carried multiple other brands for all the other types of bicycles, mountain and hybrid and comfort and stuff. But we had a sick BMX department, no denying it. Back then we had everything, kink, we had FBM, we had everything solid, we had just whatever you could imagine. We had frames, like you would think of what you would want to go into as a kid or an adult and have a selection of and pick your stuff,
So we were down at that Powers shop.
Oh my God.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a good example of like
gosh.
You go in there and
that's just a wet dream.
There's Powers, there's the one in like it's like Rhode Island or something. I can't think of what it is offhand.
Oh, malls.
No, Circuit.
Oh, Circuit. Yeah, no, sorry, but there's malls too.
Malls up, outside of Boston area.
Yeah.
But you've got those types of shops that, yeah, they're carrying core BMX brands. They're carrying what people want. And then you've got shops like where you worked. I know the name's already been dropped, but I'd rather not just keep berating them. And it's not just your shop. It's shops like where you worked, where you walk in that front door, and if you're looking for BMX, it's the small little showcase in the back corner of the shop, tucked away from everything else, and they're going to ignore you.
Yeah.
When you walk in the door and you're like, I'm looking for BMX.
Right, yeah,
I know.
It's your typical, right, yeah.
So you're already pushing them away from the minute they walk in the door instead of like, hey, what is there? And then there's the other type of shop that's carrying BMX but doesn't really want to, that all they sell is red lines. And you go in there and you can get red line completes or red line aftermarket parts. And you're like, well, I'd really like to get a set of the new FBM bars. And they're like, no. Oh, okay. Well, then I'm not buying your red line bars, so I'll see you later.
Right.
And you've got either type of shop. The shop that like doesn't want to... Neither shop wants to order what you want from them.
Yep.
But one doesn't care about BMX at all, and the other is so brand focused that they're killing themselves and choking themselves off right from the beginning.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean... Basically, this area, if somebody were to pick up a kid that was passionate about BMX, an existing shop here picked up a kid that was passionate about BMX and rode, and then they also invested in the business with a little bit of their own, the business's bankroll or their own, whatever. And listened if hopefully that kid had good taste or whatever, and they let him stock up a corner of the store or whatever. It still wouldn't be much more than that to start with. And like maybe they had the input, maybe they had the input and they did a little bit of footwork and went to the track and talked to some parents or whatever, and then they heard what kind of apparel and stuff like that they need to stock. That's what they got to do. They got to get a little bit of it in and then care, because nobody cares around here.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing, is you have to be passionate about it.
Right. And
stay up on it. And it's not easy, but I think you're spot on about being involved at the track.
Yeah.
How many people started racing? I raced at one point.
Right.
A lot of people raced at one point that don't race anymore.
Right.
But if you're getting involved at the ground level, racing brings in kids on Strider bikes.
Yep.
And they go from there. And if you can be essentially in the parent's pocket from the moment that kid turns 3 and is running around the Strider bike on the track, then you've hooked a bike rider and a family for the next 13, 14 years.
Right.
At the very least.
Right. Yeah. And how it works time and time again is like, if it's a family with more than one child, it's like the brother starts racing or whatever, and then boom, 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 every other child, you know what I'm saying? The sisters, even 2 sisters, 1 sister, both brothers, they all start doing it too,
And they might fall out of it.
Yeah.
But who cares if they fall out of it?
Yeah.
From a growth perspective, nobody that starts gets it.
Yeah.
And no one knows really what it is. But nobody gets it from the very beginning. They're just riding their bike, and they know that they're enjoying it, but they don't really know why they're enjoying it. And sometimes you don't find that out for a really long time.
This reminds me of this weird feeling I get at the racetrack sometimes because I've been around and involved in bikes my whole life pretty much, you know what I'm saying? And then I can't say that it's a feeling that I like or whatever, you know what I'm saying? But then when there's these families that are so involved or whatever that started like 2 months ago or whatever, like I get this little bit of a feeling inside that's like...
Oh, they totally don't get it.
Yeah, right?
But you know what? The parents and the families don't have to.
Right.
They're hyped that the kid is out there and enjoying something.
Right.
But so I have some additional input. Like you're talking about at the shop level, like, yes, obviously stocking the right product comes into play. And having someone that knows the product. So I think you need two guys or one well-rounded guy.
You're
that knows
about
BMX.
Utopia here, though. I mean, in a perfect world, because there's no way that no shop around here is going to pick up two guys.
Well, one guy that is familiar enough with BMX racing, to not be a complete fool talking about it, but that also has their hand in like occasionally being out at Sherry Lindsay or something, or the local park for anyone that doesn't know, and just knows the people that are out riding. I mean, you were that guy, so it's not BMX Utopia. You've been there. It's just that the shop you were in was not conducive to this. So, so once you've got a person, and then you need to promote. So the social media is huge.
Yep.
And I know you were doing it when you were working at the shop. You never really had an Instagram going, but Instagram was kind of in its infancy at that point still. Yeah. But you were on Facebook and you were promoting stuff really hard.
Yeah.
And it was working.
Yeah. Commercials on TV and radio ads. I mean, I was behind all of that, right. Yep.
So promote. And then if you're promoting at the track as well, all it's going to do is bring people to you.
Yeah. No, not, you can only be so good and productive as your leader or the master allows. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the downfall of that place.
Yeah. Well, and I think that hurts the scene. So
I mean, we both here know that I had a good relationship with those families and but they couldn't stand
the owner,
the place of business and the previous experiences that they had and everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot in my current work right now, a lot in my current work of going to seminars and stuff like that I'm getting sent to and stuff like that for management training and stuff like that, because I'm at a level of management, but in order to go beyond probably where I'm at, it's definitely good to have all those classes and everything, and something that's just the order of how it goes, So, but I heard something, and it was customer feedback is like oxygen, And this is like, well, we're talking about bike shops, you know what I'm saying? But this is like kind of a easy thing to think about, And that shop had so much bad customer feedback that it had no oxygen,
Yeah. So then the other side of promotion and everything, like we're talking about it from the shop side. Now, look at the track itself. How well are they promoting? And if they don't have like a photographer or something that's out there posting stuff on their page after every race, just taking pictures of every single person on that track at some point in the race. It doesn't matter if it's on the same roller. You take a picture of every kid and every dad that's on that track, and you post every single one of those photos to your race album from that night. And then those people hit share on that photo. And now, who knows how many people from each one of those people now saw that photo and go, wait, what's this BMX racing? I didn't know you did that. Or where can I see that and try to do that? Or can I come watch even?
Right. Oh, my God. Yeah, it's the same. It's like at the shop, that was 5 minutes away from the racetrack, you know what I'm saying? And I was like a promoter for that place. People didn't even know about it, You know how many people I sent there,
Yeah.
And the same thing can be said with HCS, to be honest with you. You know what I'm saying? I sent so many people to HCS that had no idea, but that's a different story because
well, it's for different reasons too.
That's not for the same thing, That's just because totally different reasons. But anyways, when I was there, I can't say it was bad for the BMX racing scene and for, you know, the actual scene around here, even though it wasn't as good as it sure could have been, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like there's a handful of, if you started at the track, you don't, like, you could go do it for him. You could just be like, Gary, I'm taking pictures of everyone and posting them on your Facebook.
Right.
And from that point, it's growing the scene a little bit here and there.
I know.
And if you can double the moto count, what is the moto count over there? On an average single point week, do you know?
It's probably like 10 or 12 motos.
That is miserable. Like, that is so bad. And then, you know what's making it worse, in my opinion, is when they stopped racing all 3 motos a night. What do they call that? The, I forget what that like term is in the racing now, where once you've won a moto, you don't compete in the next one.
Yeah, that is
transfer.
Yeah, transfer to the main. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not. I never raced. You know, I grew up in Mesa, a surrounding town right outside of Mesa, just like you can imagine any of your towns, Binghamton, Johnson City, or whatever, you know, Pittsburgh, Monroeville, I don't know, but anyways, the town right next to each other was Chandler, which is where Chandler BMX racetrack was at, you know. So I didn't race, but I used to go to practice nights and have fun and do regular stuff at the dirt track, that, you know, 360s and stuff like that they weren't, you know, like practice.
Yeah, the stuff they yell at you for when you do it on the track. I still go to Grippin'.
Thankfully, they don't give me a hard time at Grippin' when I'm faking from the gate. You know what I'm saying? Or like it
probably depends on who sees you do it.
Right, but
like, I feel like that transfer system makes it less desirable to race in certain ways. Like, I know that the last few times I've been to the track, I paid to ride three motos and maybe a main, but I got to ride one moto and a main. Like,
it is.
Come on.
Yeah, I know. I was just getting to it. I didn't race back then when I lived near Chandler BMX, and I don't race now. You know, I want my son's raced since he was 1 year old on the Strider. You know, and he's Finley. You know, everybody at the track knows Finley, and there's a lot. It's become a lot more popular since Finley for a lot of the youngsters. You know, he was one of our first in this area at this indoor tracks, really tiny youngsters. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now that's a regular thing. Striders is really big, and actually Bubba was there. Shout out to Bubba. You know, Bubba was there before Finley. You know, but so. Where were we at with that? What were we? Oh, it was
we're talking about the transfer.
Oh, the transfer.
How you don't get to race all your motos.
Right. So, yeah, depends on the track too. You know, like for example, Finley. When we go back, when Finley was little, and we would go back after a break from racing, if he would lose his first 2, he wasn't supposed to go on to the main and race at all. You know what I'm saying? But no, everybody at the track, 10, 12 motos. You know what I'm saying? Throw them up on the main. It's not gonna, you know, it doesn't matter for anything. You know, so that depends too.
Well, and I mean, the main is stupid when you don't even have a full class to begin with. The main is like to narrow your class down to the finals.
Right.
When you look at like the reality of classic racing or the grands or something like that.
Right.
But so there's another side to that. If you're racing the first moto and you don't get the good gate start, are you even going to try? If you're not trying to get the best score out of 3 motos and someone bests you in the first moto, you're just going to roll the track and hope for the best in the next one.
Yeah.
You're not even going to try.
Yeah. It's been years now.
So it just seems like it's a really bad system, in my opinion.
Right. You have a better. That's what I was getting at. If Finley's been going for years, a year and a half now. My daughter started, and she's really into it, and I still don't understand all of it. You know what I'm saying? I don't care to. That's why I don't care to understand all the ins and outs. I'm at the track. I know everybody at the track. mostly, you know, but I don't really care.
Yeah, the kids are having fun and you're socializing with people you know.
Yeah.
While your kids have fun. What could be better?
Right. Yep. And that's why I got my kids. I got Finley into racing, and then his sister followed, like I said. But because look at all the legends, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's a big thing in bike control. I mean, I couldn't imagine. He's fallen off the wagon, you know, and like skipped out, and he's 7 now. But I couldn't imagine having as much riding experience even as him at 7. You know what I'm saying? Even though I did ride at 7, but not from 2 on a regular pedal bike to 7. You know, like for all those years. You know,
yeah, in a structured environment.
Yeah, right.
I mean, at the very least, you're talking about having a schedule.
Yeah.
Where you're making time to ride, even if it's only one time a week.
Right.
You're sitting there at work going, all right, this night, I can't wait. We're going to the track. We're racing.
Right. Yeah.
So, like, even if you're not a race fan, like, you can appreciate the fact that you're looking forward to the one time you know for sure you're riding this week.
Yep. And it's been a long winter. A lot of the locals around here go through the winter with our track, but not us, you know, like, so.
So what about scene side then? So obviously there's like a handful of things that some are easier to implement than others, but like the social media side and promoting what is happening in the local scene is pretty easy.
Yeah.
But from the scene side, I feel like it's actually the same answer. You need someone in the scene to organize and promote stuff.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know to what degree this matters or doesn't matter, but I'm going to use Murphy down in Pittsburgh as an example. If you go to the wheel mill, there's a high probability that Murphy is there shooting photos.
Yeah.
And, you know, Murphy likes shooting photos. Murphy likes riding his bike. But if Murphy's out shooting photos, people might show up just to be like, oh, I might get a photo.
Right.
Or, I mean, he'll ask you too, like, hey, you got anything? You want to shoot anything quick?
Right.
And like, if it's a cool photo, he's gonna post it up,
right.
And then all that does is reinforce the scene.
Yeah.
So, I feel like it's actually, and it's oversimplified, but it's a simple formula. I feel like it's easy to do, but you have to make the time to be there, and I think a lot of the time people are looking for someone else to be that guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what you want to call it, but we have maybe diverse people in our scene out here, you know? I mean, as far as every single thing you can imagine, you know, commitment to biking, years of biking, style of biking, personal own selves, you know what I'm saying? Like the actual personal person, you know, like totally random different kinds of people
mm-hmm.
and you know, walks of life, you know? But, so there's a lot of like, you know, it's
mm-hmm.
different. There's no two people that are really alike in the biking scene out here, really. You know what I'm saying? You can go to Peach, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can see a lot of dudes that are like riding, you know, and they're dialed, but they're all riding really similar styles and like feeding off of each other and
mm-hmm.
stuff, you know? There's like even the two main dudes that you talked about.
Yeah, they ride really different.
Totally different, you know, like totally different. And then keeping all those things in mind, you know, there's some guys that ride every single day but have only progressed to this level or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Or like constantly out there riding but have
mm-hmm.
only progressed to a certain level. There's guys like me who haven't progressed I don't know since when, you know what I'm saying? Like no progression guys, you know? But
I mean, how often are you on your bike?
Oh, man. I'm not on my bike. Oh, we got some jams coming up here. I'll be on my bike. Honestly, the jams, we haven't talked about the previous jams in this discussion at all.
Yeah, I know.
We talked
we'll
about
circle
how
back.
I've been there and stuff, but like there's some serious differences between the Binghamton jam and the Pittsburgh jam, like especially in like my instance, which everybody else can probably see, because or even right now on a podcast, like I'm a little bit more of an introverted person, you know what I'm saying? That probably also doesn't help me with making friends in BMX and like riding in groups of people in BMX and stuff like that, but it's not in my intention, you know what I'm saying? I'm here right now saying that, it's not my intention.
I would say the same thing about myself though. Like if we go to the park, I'm going to sit there and not talk to the people around me.
Right.
Even though, like, in the personal setting like this, I'm perfectly good at just talking.
Right.
Like, you're not coming across...
I'm not trying to
maybe
be a
the
jerk
first
when I do
5
that
minutes when we're, like, not warmed up or whatever here.
Right.
You're a little bit introverted, but no, I mean, it's like all we're doing is chatting as friends. So, like, it is what it is.
So that is also, some people are better at that. What made me even bring that up, some people aren't quite so much shy or whatever, and they'll get a whole group of people riding or be popping off on the group chat or whatever, and really be getting things going. But I was mentioning this because of the two different jams, and how, there's the megaphone, and I'll be on the megaphone maybe at HCS, and then I'll be on the megaphone for a short period of time in Pittsburgh because I don't really want to be on the megaphone that much at Pittsburgh, it's like...
No, and I'm not a megaphone guy either. I'm more than happy that you always want to do it at HCS, and that Brad wants to take it in Pittsburgh, and I'm like, have at it, dude, please.
Right. No, Brad does. I don't mind having it some of the time at Pittsburgh, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes Brad just like, he just wants that thing, man, which is fine if he's in the zone,
Yeah.
But HCS is so much easier for me with the people that are there and like being at my favorite place in the world, you know what I'm saying? To like do probably a better job at it, you know what I'm saying? Like be more comfortable, and fun. It's fun.
It's also easier. Everything about the jam is easier at HCS.
Oh, yes.
I did want, before we go that route, I had one more comment, and it was supporting evidence for my comment about Murphy and that growing the scene in Pittsburgh, or at least supporting the scene, was the Binghamton scene, and this could be completely unrelated. Binghamton also had Brian Tarbell at one point doing a lot of photo stuff. John Wally doing a lot of video stuff.
We didn't touch base at all about
and
much of
Ryan
Binghamton.
Suva was doing a lot of photo stuff up in Syracuse.
We barely touched base about Binghamton. I mean, this podcast could go on for who knows,
Yeah, we're at an hour and a half.
We haven't touched any of the trip experiences, anything. You know what I'm saying? Any of the injuries. I seem to be your number one filmer for most of your severe injuries. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it's because you're filming most of my stuff anyway. It's kind of, it just goes hand in hand.
Right. Yeah. So, Binghamton, East Coast Terminal was before my time. FBM has roots here. Like we haven't talked the area. You know how we're talking about the area and so much in the crews out here and everything and the scene and everything like that. Well, it has history. There's no doubt about that, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we've got Brawlin at the Belmar. We've got everything that FBM has ever done, here. All of the video parts and clips and everything through the East Coast Terminal and all those, like I said, and then, but, things come and go, I guess, I mean.
And this will transition into our jams and everything as well, but I've always said that our scene was so spoiled by good contests and good jams put on by FBM and likewise,
right,
that it was hard for them to appreciate anything,
right,
and it also jaded them a little bit.
Well, for such a small area, see, because I come from somewhere where they got, you know what I'm saying? You can go to, not only will you just see the local kid talent killing it at the skate park, like at pro levels, you know what I'm saying? You'll see just actual pros at the skate park or big, huge contests, so that wasn't But out here in such a small area for you guys, I can imagine, like those really were some legendary events and some badass shit, and it was popping off here that people were just kind of like used to it, kind of maybe, took it for granted.
That's what I'm saying. It took it for granted and then jaded when it's gone.
Yeah.
And that doesn't help the scene get better.
Right.
But our jams. So we've had 3 years running.
Yep.
So this year will be the 4th.
Yep.
We've had a Pittsburgh Street Jam and a Binghamton Jam, which the first year was half street, half HCS, and the last 2 years have been just at HCS with a separate street ride the night before. Or did we not end up doing that? I think you did it. No, we didn't end up doing it last year.
I mean, no, usually either the day before or the day after, such is the nature of when people are in town and out of town.
Yeah, whatever works.
Like that, when everything lines up, for that type of deal. But usually there is a street session involved, whether we put it on the flyer or advertise it or not. There's definitely one going on,
Yeah, definitely. And then the Pittsburgh one is always historically promoted as a street jam, with the exception that last year we got about halfway through the jam and just due to circumstances beyond our control, there was a large concert going on downtown, and there was not a riot, but large protests going on. So the police presence was like at a ridiculous high. We just got followed all around by multiple police units, and we just decided to move it to a park and overtake the skate jam that was going on.
One in particular, but multiple motorcycle cops. One of them especially, like I said, was like riding his motorcycle up on the spots and stuff like that, up curbs and in right where we were riding, riding, but and just shutting us down every second, and I guess shutting us down and not shutting us down, because we just kept moving and there wasn't, they weren't going to get...
You were never actually sessioning a spot because you weren't there long enough to.
Right. They weren't going to get all of us, that's for sure. Do you remember?
I wasn't there.
Yeah, I know, but do you have to at least remember seeing the clip when the kid... I was right next to a kid and I don't know, he was doing like a peg wheelie, a dork wheelie or something, like a rocket manual or something like that, and he, or whatever he was doing, and he ate shit right in the middle of an intersection, running a red light and everything, there's so many.
Yeah.
And the cop was like on loudspeaker on that clip too, like, that's why you don't run red lights, kid, you need a medic or something like that, and it was just funny, but the cops chased us around for a long time. And
only downtown. As soon as you guys cross the bridge back over into North Side, nothing.
Right.
And
think about the last years.
Dude, that's where I was going with this.
Raped and pillaged that city.
Every single time we cross over to Pittsburgh proper, though, the jam goes downhill.
Kind of. But
we either lose people or it just turns into less fun or a bust. But either way... we're doing both of them again this year.
Yep. We talked about, and we discuss ways to mix it up a little bit and switch things up a little bit. How and we haven't quite fine-tuned that. How we're gonna do that. The Pittsburgh one, the HCS one. I think you don't think really needs much of that. The HCS one. Besides the attractions at HCS, which we always do.
The problem with the HCS one is how do we even make it better?
No, that's not true. We can do that. I got ideas. We can do that, yeah. It's just...
Well, but the one thing we should mention about that, we don't have a date yet, but if you are a small company, a small brand, a crew that has product, or a business, shop or park, come table the event.
We've wanted to do that for probably since right after the first one we talked and thought.
Yep, and we kind of did it last year.
Kind of.
Breaking Free set up a table. The
awesome.
set up a table. We had a table.
Yeah.
And no one else did. But we invited a lot of people too.
But
it was last minute.
Loose last minute
yeah.
Thing, Now, it's still pretty last minute because these jams are coming up quick, dude.
Yeah, I know.
We do invite that though, I mean, John Lee, John Courts, bring some stuff, whoever else, anybody. And Ricky, come on, you made it to the first jam. Let's see you make it out to this one. The first jam, weather washed us out. You still shredded and made it. Second 2 jams in our Binghamton area, or the Pittsburgh one. There's no excuse. People should make it to the Pittsburgh one. And
people should make it to the HCS one.
Both of them, yeah.
I mean HCS is my personal favorite.
HCS is my favorite too. Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the Pittsburgh one is not wild, because Pittsburgh is. I mean, we can ride the same spots over and over.
Here's why. It's
awesome.
We love HCS so much because there's such good riding there. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's such good riding there, and we love HCS, Pittsburgh has really good riding too, but for a jam, you know what I'm saying? It's easier for us to have a good time and to, like, get everything we need in containment there, and still ride and everything, It's more of a fun time for us, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've missed...
Dude, last jam...
I've missed more than half of the last jam.
Yeah.
And I missed about 3... No, yeah. Almost half of the jam the year prior in Pittsburgh because of running back to restock product to give away. And then it's also hard to cut it. Like, you can't just chill. And I've said this a few times on the podcast to different people. I always feel like the Pittsburgh Jam leaves the first spot too early. Because it's the only spot the whole way around that's a bunch of people hanging out, chatting, having a good time just on the lawn.
Yeah.
There are so many people there that are just hanging out, having a good time, enjoying the day, that... Like, sure, maybe not everyone is riding, but they're not there necessarily to ride.
Right.
A lot of those dudes don't even follow us the quarter mile down the road to the block.
Yeah.
They leave after that first spot.
Yeah. Right.
So I've always felt like we leave that a little bit early. And then you and I know we've had this discussion numerous times in person, and I've talked about it on the podcast. We kill our own jam every single time we say best trick on blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Every single time, everyone stops riding.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, cool. Guess not.
No.
Guess that turn bar one person did wins money.
You know why we do that is because, no joke, we have so much stuff that we got to figure out what to do with, because we hook these jams up so good, and we both know how that takes a lot of work.
Well, and it turns into just this weird battle of, like, giving stuff away, though. Because you're, like, you're like, oh, here, have a shirt. And they're like, that's not the right size. And you're like, how about a hat? I don't wear hats. All right, man, high five. Fine.
Yeah.
It's a cool trick, I guess. Like,
right.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what you want to do.
No, we do a good job with it, I mean, think about it, Think about some other jams. We're pretty good,
Dude, we get enough stuff to hook up 2 jams.
Yeah, we do.
But, we're not asking. Realistically, we're only a couple people are really sending enough to support 2 jams. It's that we're asking so many companies, and so many companies support us on our jams. And a lot of them are small companies. We really don't have too many big companies on the docket each year. Kink, FBM, last year was Merit. The first year was Merit. Right. We didn't have them the second year.
Right. Hoffman's always
been
there. Yeah.
Man, I should have printed out a list.
Oh yeah, don't think that
because I can't
appreciate them. Yeah, but.
Hit all of this Eastern.
Right.
I mean they historically haven't been able to send like a lot of stuff, but they've always supported it even when they don't have a lot to give.
Yeah.
And huge shout out to last Eastern.
Year. Yeah.
But then we get brands like Dead Crow Army's been 100% backing it every single year.
Yeah.
Tables and Fables. I mean, he's cleaning closets to help give us a jam and a product and everything out there.
Right.
Nowhere BMX hooked it up last year.
Last year we had Saints to Sinners. They gave us a big box.
Was that last year? I think it was the year prior.
Sorry,
yeah, second year.
That was the year before.
Yep. Yeah, super awesome custom stuff.
Yeah. I actually don't think I told you, but last year after the jam reached out and I said
I think I saw the interaction because I think you did it on Facebook.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
And because Saints to Sinners is a bunch of awesome local people. It's
the bakers, so it's a bunch of locally known. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and they've always been very supportive of BMX. I would say that they're primarily road and mountain biking now, and I think it's just the way things go.
Right.
But they're a bunch of bike riders that also like to drink booze, and
and they got a club.
That's what their club is, and it's sweet. They know what they're into, and they love it. So,
they supported a jam with hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of product, at a click of a fingers, just to do it. And that's what I was getting at, is that last year I didn't even reach out to her because we don't give they don't gain anything from us specifically, you know what I'm saying, at all, because their product is like custom for their club and everything like that, so that was just a super generous, cool thing, and I'm stoked on them as riders and as whatever. Yeah. So that's why I wanted, that's why I reached out, and they're stoked on it. So everybody's stoked on it, and then I reached out and said, I just didn't want to waste your time and make you invest in any of this. You know what I'm saying? What am I returning to you? You know what I'm saying? So she's like, Cameron, you do know that I just basically what she said was, Cameron, you do know that I just love BMX or whatever, and I just would support any, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'd support it any way I can.
Right, yeah. Or like biking or riding, and I was like, yeah, I do know that.
Yeah. And I mean, that's super awesome all around. Yep. And then if we're going to shout out people hooking it up, Derek does more for us than we can ever even be thankful for. And that's HCS and Spooky Action Industrial Arts, because not only does he let us use his park for what I would say is less money than he should every year.
Right. And we changed from the first year because we've decided that to just basically cover the park expenses is where we've decided to go with it, So honestly, that one less excuse for everybody, that they don't have to contribute financially, even if it was some sort of a T-shirt exchange to get into a jam, or to get into the level of contests or whatever,
Yeah, you just show up and ride now instead of pay the park admission.
We got that covered. That's not a problem.
But he also always fabricates something new for the park for us, whether it's a custom rail that we wanted from him, or ramps or that something.
Bike that I had, I gave him that red line, and he did the rail bike that I,
Yep.
That was insane.
And to top all of that off, he makes the sickest trophies to give away every single year for us.
Right.
And, it's like, I don't even think that anyone that's seen them on Instagram or anything can appreciate how detailed and wild these trophies are.
Right.
And yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's being conveyed, but it's like so appreciative every single year of that.
Right.
And I mean, realistically,
they run the kitchen usually, so they get all the food and they cook the food, and then they set that up, because the jams at HCS, we got a full kitchen going usually, you know.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, just so many good things, and I guess that's shout out to Jacqueline as well for cooking. And I mean, that's not that easy because every single year her parents come up to help out with that whole ordeal as well.
Yeah.
So it's like they got to staff up essentially to make this happen for us. And
yeah. In the park, I mean, he does all the, like, we go as well, and you especially, and thank
James,
God
shout out to
James, and
Ben and John came last year to help out, really right towards the end. But
actually, speaking of all of those three guys right now, we're about to put together a committee, and so those three names right there, I know. Well, especially the two of them for New York side of things. You know, I'm gonna need to hit you guys up because we got some preparations that we got to get underway over here. You know, so
Preparation H.
Preparation HCS. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, there's just so much to do with that.
Yeah, and I know, and I texted you 2 weeks ago or whatever, you know, and I'm like, man, what can we do this year? It's come across more than 2 weeks ago, you know what I'm saying? But like, what can we do this year?
It was right after Swamp Fest that you texted me, and I mean, the only answer I have is spend more than a week on it because, I mean, I'm not in the area anymore to be up here to help out with that in advance. And, like, we're always scrambling last minute to even get the park cleaned up, prepped, and rideable. Like, this last year was pretty good, but the year prior, like, the parking lot was in such disrepair that we had to chip some of it out and mix concrete and, like, repair some of like, the bottoms and everything on different parts of the landing for the handrail, and then like some of the like blend between the concrete and the blacktop, we had to pour concrete.
Oh,
and
I know.
I mean,
it's to put a successful jam together, from the phone calls and emails and the correspondence and the shipping and the everything and the getting things lined up and ordered and everything ordered and set up and paid for and everything. That alone is a lot of work. And then particularly with the HCS one every year, you guys especially, like I was getting at too, you know, was like, is all that maintenance that you're talking about, the concrete and the ramp rottage and the different stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, and building something new.
Like that, building something new, but we will like repaint stuff and like just total good maintenance, you know what I'm saying? Like do weeding of all of the cracks in the you know, asphalt and concrete and stuff like that, you know, and blowing, whatever it takes, you know. But it's a lot of work.
And I mean, not to discount that with the street jam too, like you quote unquote don't have to do it, but the street jam, like the week prior, you're kind of riding around making sure stuff's not broken because you don't want to go somewhere that got capped and you didn't realize it, making sure stuff is waxed, even just dropping a piece of wax at different spots so that you don't have to carry them around with you.
Right.
And then just if there's like broken glass, you got to kind of sweep it up. Like there's a lot of prep work that goes into running a good street jam too.
Yeah.
And you can just show up and wing it. We've done that. I've done it both ways.
Right.
I don't think you could necessarily tell which ones I did either one on.
Right.
But, like, I mean, I had stuff waxed and worn in and, like, super cleaned up that was probably never even rideable before, and we didn't even go there.
Right.
And then I'm like, well, that's hilarious, but it's still a spot, and it's still cool, and I'm still glad that I did it. I don't feel like... I don't know. We gotta... After this year, there may be some changes, is all I'm going to say, about the way we're doing some stuff. At least to put a fresh perspective on it and to mix it up. And I don't know...
I know that was we talked about
particularly
that right after
for
the
Pittsburgh.
last jam, but then this jam just snuck up on us, and you know, and we're not doing, you know what I'm saying? So,
I'm gonna say that whole scenario from last year with the third jam that that happened but didn't happen. From a personal note, it just totally bummed me out, and I really took a break from the social media side. I mean, I don't think we posted on the GrindWorks Instagram for nearly a month after the jam.
Right.
And I think I took 2 or 3 just to edit the jam videos because I was so over it for a minute after the way that situation played out. Right. And I'm like, you know what? It's nobody's fault that showed up to this jam that's expecting a sick edit or expecting to see their clips put out, and it's not fair to anyone. It's not doing us any good to not have it out there either. So,
well, I went to that jam that you're talking about. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I basically what I felt is that I didn't have I didn't have much different expectations than kind of exactly what happened. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. My gut and my expectations kind of leaned toward.
Me too. As soon as it started to go that way, I was not surprised.
Right,
but it doesn't mean I was.
I didn't really even. I guess I was just like so already processed that didn't bother me as much. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I still went. And I still rode and whatever because the person that really probably was the fork in that situation wasn't even there. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't even at the event, you know. So
yeah, I know. And then, I mean, on top of that, the thing that like bummed me out about it the most was not even involving us. It was involving another group that was supposed to be involved in that. But also, when the date got moved for the order of convenience of hijacking the event, and then I wasn't even able to show up to what was supposed to be our event.
No.
Or a mixed event. I couldn't even go because of that.
I definitely had no expectation. My expectations were what happened. You know, so it was different because literally a flyer got made for it. You remember that?
Yeah, and it was just like, blown up, and that blew it right there. There was no fixing what happened.
Right.
But no, the date got shifted. If you remember, it was set for one date.
Right.
2 weeks after our second jam. So we were going to have jam, week off, jam, week off, jam. It got shifted to a date that I couldn't make.
Right.
And I'm like, well, if you guys need to do it that day, that's fine. And then the flyer came out where it had been hijacked to correspond to,
I remember you saying
to their other event. And I'm like, great. So it is what it is. It's all water under the bridge. But I definitely, like, it just, like, burned me out on it for a month or so. And I just didn't have a lot of motivation to do anything.
Right.
Plus, ever since Ryder was born, at that point, I still had the ice house.
Right.
So I was trying to make ends meet with that.
Right.
Through the end of our lease. Then I was doing the teardown on that. Then straight from that, I was hustling to help with the jams. And by the time that second jam was done, I just needed to decompress anyway and actually spend time with the baby and my wife.
Right.
And, like, holy crap.
Right.
So, like, I had that was 6.5, 7 months after the baby was born before I was, like, free.
Yeah.
So, that was kind of cool there as well, to just not worry about it. But, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at, as soon as we get our flyer, well, we have to confirm dates for the Binghamton Jam. I mean, we can drop the date for the Pittsburgh one. I don't really care. This isn't going to go up for like 4 weeks at this point.
Yeah.
So there's 3 interviews that I have already done and recorded, and they're ready to post. I haven't posted them yet.
So the date's going to drop theoretically in the real world
before this is even aired.
Yeah. So
So it's July 15th is the date we came up with for the Pittsburgh Jam.
Yep.
Which I'm going to be on vacation right up until then. I'll be getting back to Pittsburgh to have the jam.
You know what? I very well could be too, because I haven't. I got to put my vacation request in.
But you know, we always have some floor space and stuff. It's obviously cluttered with baby toys, but we can make stuff work. I know dudes travel from pretty far. A lot of the time they stay with me out of convenience, but it's not necessarily always necessary. So I'll extend that to anyone that wants to hit me up. And I know Tyler has said the same since he owns a house now.
Yeah, shout out. I'll take Tyler's bed.
Well, James has one, and he might not even be around for it. James lives with Tyler now.
Yeah.
And James is gone 4 weeks out of every month. 3 to 4 weeks out of every month.
Right.
So you know, and maybe home on a weekend here or there, but he's gone every week. So
Tyler just takes care of his cat, basically.
Yeah.
Tyler's
just
sitter.
A cat sitter.
Nice.
But James is paying rent for his cat.
Sweet.
Yeah, but I mean, it is what it is, right? You can't not have your cat when you're working
Generally,
a traveling
a place
job.
to come home to is nice too. Yeah.
Well, I was joking with him about this yesterday, actually, that as much as he travels, he's in a hotel for weeks on end. He has so many free nights at hotels and stuff, and it's like, but home is your vacation.
To a week that he could come home, he could just stay at a hotel.
Yeah, well,
like he could just really live wherever he wanted to, actually.
Yeah, but you're like coming home is your vacation, like, because he's traveling all over from like North Dakota all the way down to Florida and everywhere in between. So
there's no way. Yeah. That's a perfect job for a single guy like that. You know?
Dude, and like just getting per diem and everything and getting paid, and plus like all the overtime involved with that. And I mean, we all know James before he has this job, where he would come out to help out and prep for the jam for a week. He'd come out a week early, and he would eat cans of soup off of like a little sterno cooker.
Or a loaf of bread and a peanut butter and jelly jar, you know.
And he would live off of $5 for the entire week.
Right.
While we were prepping HCS. And it's like, by the end of that, we're like, James, let us buy you dinner for helping out.
Yeah,
please.
Right.
And I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I'm fairly confident he's living the exact same way while he's on the road doing these jobs.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah. Holy cow, man. 2 hours probably, and we haven't even touched anything about the past of GrindWorks, really, the future of GrindWorks.
Do we? I mean, how can we talk about the future, right?
Future of GrindWorks. I don't know.
You know what we could do?
We got to get some stickers ordered, and I've been...
Let's do a bunch of visual stuff that the people... Because they're not even going to see it on the YouTube one this time. Ha ha ha.
Oh, yeah. You want to drop our new line right now?
I mean, yeah. Let's show all the new shirts right
show
here.
Season 3 right here.
I mean, check out the shirt you're wearing.
Yep.
And the one I've got on. And, like, you see these shoes? These shoes are pretty tight.
Yeah.
I actually need new ones if we want to talk about shoes, but...
Yeah. I did see that Matt did a shoe episode on his podcast. There's something, at least one of them that had emphasis on shoes.
There's like a couple that have emphasis on shoes.
As I said, his podcast, I'm interested in it. I'm way behind on podcasts, you know. But
his and Mike Hinkins are probably my two favorites to listen to. Dennis Anderson has a pretty good one. Kyle Carlson's His general person he's talking to is not usually my like go-to person, because he travels a lot for Vital and does a lot of contest stuff. So he's usually talking to a lot of contest guys, and I don't really care.
Right.
But I've listened to every single one of his so far. I'm finally getting caught up, and I'm not caught up. I'm not even close to caught up, but I'm tapped into the BMX in Our Blood stuff. And then there's the Space Brothers podcast, which I haven't even touched yet. And there's a bunch of hot names in that list. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we don't have to do everything all in one sitting here. I haven't had any repeat guests yet, but right. I know that that's going to happen. And at some point, I'm going to be doing one that's like kind of like a self-review. And I don't want to do it alone. I want to have someone that's been on one that listens to them all.
Right.
Because I already made a bunch of changes from on the YouTube side. Like, Brant highly suggested and like nearly demanded, but he was right, and it was in my plans anyway to get the cameras higher and not look up at you. Which essentially I was planning on building the box anyway, but I needed to build something extra that would then segregate the vibration off the table, because every time I touched the table, the cameras would shake. It was killing me that it was happening. And then the audio got better. This is a whole new venture right here, doing this without my normal setup, kind of on the fly. I'm sure you're going to hear the fact that it was raining the whole time.
Yeah.
You'll hear every vehicle that drove by.
Yep.
And a whole bunch of other stuff, but you know, there's been a bunch of
ass.
Yeah, I did. Too bad we don't have like smell-o-vision to just send that to them.
Yeah. Right. Trust me, you don't want that. Stuck in a car with this guy.
Yeah, but all right. You've told me you missed me after I farted.
Okay, come on.
You're like, I missed that. And I'm like, what are you talking about?
All right.
Yeah, I know. But anyway, like, we've done all these improvements in the podcast as we've moved along, even including, like, I was putting the intro right into the initial recording. Like, this is podcast, blah, blah, blah number with so-and-so. And then I would do my intro for you right in front of you. But we don't even know what we've talked about yet, or what we're going to talk about or anything. And it makes it really hard to do an intro when we haven't talked yet.
Right.
So then the outro, where I have to drop all the socials and like do the like, comment, subscribe garbage, just feels extra corny in front of anyone. Because it is extra corny. But
I have no idea. I feel like we sat here for 2 hours and talked, and I didn't cover really much.
No. I mean,
like,
we're
also like when
we just scratched the surface.
We were talking about like growing up and riding in Arizona and stuff, and I'm like, in hindsight, I'm like, wow.
You breezed over a lot of it.
We really did, yeah, right. You know, like that was just a really bland, you know. But anyways,
well, I mean, it's okay.
We still had 2 hours of constant conversation here. That was, you know,
easier than you thought.
Right.
So, but anyway, yeah, I mean, just as far as all those improvements have gone, I would still like to sit down and do the objective, like, okay, so we've done all this. Is it better? Like, I've made these changes, but is it really better?
You know what changed?
Or did it not matter?
You know, the only change that I think is better and that matters, truthfully, is the fact that it doesn't have to be on video anymore, and that it's not just YouTube driven. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That was a pain for me, because I would have it like, first of all, there was no benefit for me to watch, really. You know what I'm saying?
Fully agree.
And
other than checking out how awesome both our shirts are right now.
Right. Yeah. And I had to. It's a lot more feasible for me to have it on in the garage when I'm working, or in the house when I'm doing something, or when I'm working on the house or whatever, you know.
Well, and then the next time you pull up your phone and want to listen to the podcast, it picks up where you left off.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I got to go figure out that I was at 34:25
in that screwed me up
YouTube
in the beginning
video.
Big time, you know. That just made me be like, skip, forget about the end of that or whatever, you know. But
so I don't know if you know the whole story behind a lot of that. I wanted to do the audio only right from the beginning, but I didn't want to pay for SoundCloud.
Right.
Because SoundCloud's $12 a month to be able to upload more than 3 hours worth of audio. And I'm like, dude, if you're like a random mumble rapper, 3 hours is a lot of tracks. If you're doing podcasts at 2 hours a piece, it's not even 2 episodes that you can have on there at a time.
Right.
So I'm like, I'm not paying $144 a year to upload audio when I can sit there on YouTube and upload video for free in unlimited quantities.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of research to find the place that I'm now using, which for anyone interested in uploading anything that you want shared to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or the like, Anchor.fm is the site that I'm using. If you're currently using SoundCloud, they will transfer everything over for you and relink all of your accounts. But I had to do nothing for my podcast to be pushed to Spotify, Apple, Google. All I did was upload to Anchor, and they do all of it. And it's free.
Wow.
So
that doesn't even.
And they have monetization options if I wanted them.
Huh.
But then they play ads, and I'm like, money is not the reason I'm doing this. And if you want to support GrindWorks, rather than monetizing the podcast, I'd say go buy a shirt, go buy stickers, go buy our pegs, come out to our jams, shout us out, tag us in your posts on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and just interact with us. Say hey.
Right.
Anything like that is greatly appreciated.
Right.
And
that any Binghamton dudes too, you know, that goes out to all, you know. Whatever we could do to make the Binghamton scene stronger and better, you know, I am willing to hear, you know, and do whatever that takes. Bygones be bygones, you know, and whatever. So, but
you know what Cam really likes is if next time you see him at the park, sit all the way across the park from him and just keep subtly flipping him off while you're at the park.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not
Cam
letting no bygones be bygones in that situation. No, fuck that.
But seriously, if you know who Cam is, just subtly flip him off over and over.
Yeah.
And keep a straight face while you do it.
Yeah.
And
right. And don't explain that it was a joke until you've already soiled the situation beyond repair.
Yeah. So we'll go wrap here because it has been over 2 hours now, and why don't you drop your social media accounts so that people can follow you and see your day-to-day life and what you're up to, and then we'll close this out.
Motorcycles now in the garage, that's what made me think of that. So if you don't know already, I mean, mostly I just use Facebook and Instagram, but Tarantula is my Instagram, so a lot of you might know that or seen it on the GrindWorks page or whatever, you know, but that is me. So yep.
It's at TURANNNTULA.
Yeah. Yep. And then Facebook is just Cameron Turan, you know. But yeah, at any given time, yeah, Andy's always running the Instagram, you know. I never butt in on the Instagram, but Facebook,
one or two occasionally.
Right. My phone's constantly going off on the GrindWorks Instagram, but I'm not involved. I don't even delve into that.
Cam likes to post something 30 seconds after I just posted something.
Sure, that's happened.
On my 2-hour increments of posting when I'm actively posting.
Yeah.
He'll be on the nose every single 2 hours, and then all of a sudden I've posted 15 seconds after Cam posted something, and I'm like,
right. No,
dude,
it doesn't.
You never post anything.
Yeah. It doesn't always. It's multiple users on one Instagram account is a whole different discussion. You know what I'm saying?
It's just a pain.
Yeah. But, anyways.
On a side note, Cam sets all of his emails up on every single mailing list he's ever been a part of to his GrindWorksBMX.com email, and I get all of his emails for where he works and coupons that he signed up for and all sorts of stuff.
Jeez. Nice. I don't even access that email anymore.
Yeah, no, I get them all for you. Don't worry about it.
Nice. Yeah.
I hit unsubscribe to almost all of them.
Oh, gosh. Probably had a lot of emails in there.
Like Plato's Closet. I'm like, I don't live near you.
Yeah.
Why am I getting these emails?
Right.
To Cam at GrindWorksBMX.com.
I never figured out. I still don't know. So we still have an active domain, emails and everything like that?
Yeah.
After this...
I took ownership of it all.
Right.
But yeah, I kept it all the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, they just pushed to our Gmail accounts. So.
Right. Yeah.
But fun fact, you can email whatever you want at grindworksbmx.com and we'll get it.
Yep.
So you can email...
I love tight trannies.
Yep, I love tight trannies at grindworksbmx.com and
Yep.
we'll get that email.
Yes.
Or Cam's a giant bag of dicks.
Yes.
We'll get that one too.
Yes.
Yep. AV farts and it smells real bad and kills small children. That's on there.
Yep.
You can email that at grindworksbmx.com and we'll get it. Mm-hmm. And it is what it is.
You can email scooterlove at grindworksbmx.com.
Yeah, but we will totally ignore it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a Snapchat. Do you use your Snapchat?
No, but I have one. Yeah. Same thing. I think.
Tarantula.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Well, Snapchat a bunch of stuff that Cam doesn't want to his Tarantula Snapchat.
Yeah.
You can sneak a couple of things he does want to see in there, but
yeah.
I mean, for the most part, everything I get on Snapchat, I'm like, why did I get this?
Snapchat, yeah. I was in a Snapchat back and forth with Josh one time, and this girl that I was hanging out with at the time had a nasty tattoo across her butt, and I gave him I won't forget that Snapchat that I sent him, because it was a good one anyways. But
it's probably in your history on there. You can probably retrieve it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we were supposed to do this podcast a few weeks ago, last time I was up here, and it didn't happen. So I'm glad we were able to work it out, even though Sam didn't make it happen and couldn't work it out. But
yeah, maybe that's what we'll do. I mean, we'll definitely just do a Sam and me and you pod, and then
I'm thinking when you guys come down to Pittsburgh for the jam, we can actually do the proper one, sitting in the same room with the cameras and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
But ideally, I'll get him solo then prior to that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
but that's it. I'll record an outro after this, so I guess thanks for checking it out.
Yeah. Bye.
All right, thanks for checking that out. Hopefully the audio all sounded good. Little bit of an experience trying to figure that all out. I thought everything went well. I thought everything sounded good, but I am not you, the listener, and I'm curious what you guys think. So I know it's a little bit harder to comment and everything on the podcast apps. If you have a moment, hit up the YouTube. It's just a picture posted up as the backdrop for this episode. Leave me a comment there. Leave me a comment on Instagram at GrindWorks_BMX. That's the same on Twitter. Shoot me a Snapchat of you listening to it or whatever else you want to Snapchat me. Or GrindWorks BMX on Facebook, Mixer, YouTube, Anchor. I don't know. We're kind of on everything at this point. So if I missed it, I'm probably on there. But Instagram's the easiest. Just hit us up on there. Check out our website, www.grindworksbmx.com. That's where I post all these. I post products. We just got a fresh batch of stickers in that I have not shown you yet. So you should be pretty stoked on those. Post those up. They probably will be on Instagram by the time this gets posted, but not by much. So thanks for checking this episode out. Next episode should be Derek Nelson and his brother Andy Nelson. Sat down. It's a little bit less formal, mostly just kicking it, hanging out, making jokes. So hopefully that's enjoyable. If it's not, then you'll pick up on the next podcast, when it's a little bit more conventional, formatted, back to the videos and everything. I know most of you probably don't see the video at this point. You're listening on the podcast apps or anything, so that's cool. But thanks for checking this episode out, and enjoy your day.